Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mass Retirees Weekly Update. I'm Sean Duhamel. Today's Friday, May 14th. Thank you so very much for joining with us again this week. The big news I have to share is relative to the Social Security windfall elimination provision, the so-called WEP, and all of the activity going on nationwide to reform this dreaded and regressive federal law during the current congressional session. But before I get into that, let me just update you on a few other quick housekeeping items, which are really more important than housekeeping. So let's jump right into it. First of all, a week from today, Friday, May 21st, 1 o'clock, please join us for our next Mass Retirees Teletown Hall event. We will be joined on May 21st by our very good friend, House Majority Leader Claire Cronin. She is from the town of Easton here in Massachusetts, for those of you who don't know. Claire has been a big supporter of our association and a close friend to all of us here at Mass Retirees for a very long time. She is now serving as the House Majority Leader. She will be spending the whole hour with us next week. I'm talking about a wide variety of subjects, from what the House is working on right now to the rebuilding of the Massachusetts economy as we're emerging from the pandemic, to more importantly, or just as importantly, all of our legislative priorities here at Mass Retirees. This is going to be a great event. We're thrilled to have Claire joining us. So if you are available next week, please take a few minutes. This is not going to be an event that you're going to want to miss. Remember, there are two ways you can connect to our members-only events. One is by calling the toll-free number that's contained within this email. If you're watching this via the email, it's in your newsletter, and it's also on the back of membership cards for new members. So those are three ways you can find out what the toll-free number is. You can also receive the automated phone call from me that all you need to do is answer the phone, and you automatically connect to the meeting. So we try to make this as easy as possible for people to connect. You have the ability, once you're on the line, to press 0, ask a question, engage with us during the call. These are very informative meetings that we try to have at least once a month, and we're going to keep doing it going forward. So again, we'd love to have you join us next week. Just as important is some really great news that we received just a couple of days ago. The State Senate unveiled their fiscal year 22 budget recommendation or budget proposal this past Wednesday. It contains the 3% COLA for state and teacher retirees. We have now all three branches of state government, from Governor Baker to the House of Representatives, and now most recently the State Senate, being on record, including in their versions of the budget, the COLA for state and teacher retirees. We will be reporting back in the coming weeks on efforts that are now underway and plans that we have to address the COLA base going forward. And knock on wood, if the stock market and the economy continue to go well and the investment returns continue to go well, it's really going to make it that much easier or more likely for us to address things like the COLA base going forward at the state level, as well as for our friends at the local retirement board level to continue the progress that they've been making on the COLA base. So fingers crossed for good news going forward, but it's a huge step forward. This now will mark the 23rd consecutive year where every single state and teacher retiree has received a full COLA, and the vast majority of local retirees have received a full COLA, which becomes a permanent part of your pension. It's cumulative, and over time it continues to add up. So this is a big success for all of us involved in public retirement in Massachusetts, and I wanted to share that with you. The Senate budget also contains full funding for the state and teacher pension system, as well as full funding for the state's group insurance system, with no changes whatsoever in benefit levels for retirees or for active employees. So that, again, is really good news. It should give all of us a little bit of peace of mind going forward. Now, the big news at the national level. As all of you know, a huge focus of our association right now, and it's been our focus for several years, is to do all we can to pass legislation through Congress finally reforming the windfall elimination provision, the so-called WEP law. And for those of you who don't fully understand or are just new to this, the windfall elimination provision is a federal law that was passed by Congress and signed by President Reagan in 1983. It reduces the Social Security benefits for public retirees receiving pensions that were not covered by Social Security. So here in Massachusetts, our entire public workforce works outside of Social Security. So that's the nature and the reason behind this law, is the fact that as a public worker, you did not pay into the system. Even though you do qualify for Social Security in most cases, you've earned your 40 quarters, which is the minimum needed to qualify for Social Security, it still reduces the benefits. This is unfair. The WEP goes too far. The problem that Congress was trying to fix back in 1983, in some ways they made it worse by overcorrecting and taking too much money away from people. And we have been fighting this fight now for nearly 38 years, since 1983, trying to bring about some relief for our members. And for years, our focus was on the full repeal of the WEP, along with its companion law, the Government Pension Offset, the GPO, which applies to spousal benefits. And about 6 or 7 years ago, we came to the conclusion that full repeal of WEP and GPO is extremely unlikely, if not entirely impossible. We don't have the votes in Congress nor the national support needed in order to pull that off. So we had a choice to make. Either we continued to fight what we knew as to be a losing battle, or we find a way to compromise to at least put some money back into our members' pockets. And we decided that the latter option was the best course of action. And as a matter of fact, a number of years ago, we did survey our members at that time and found that the vast majority of our members supported finding a compromise and getting something done rather than just fighting a losing battle year after year after year. So that's what we've been doing for really the last 7 or so years. Building a national coalition, working with our allies in Congress, and thankfully from here in Massachusetts, we have some very strong allies in Congressman Richard Neal, Congresswoman Catherine Clark, Congressman Jim McGovern, just to name a few. In fact, our entire 9-member congressional delegation, as well as our 2 U.S. senators, have always been in our corner fighting for what's right for retirees and fighting to either repeal or reform the WEP and the GPO. And we've made a lot of progress. Now, in 2021, Representative Neal, who's the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, he refiled or reintroduced his WEP reform proposal, H.R. 2337. And as of today, we have 154 congressional co-sponsors, members of Congress, who have signed on as supporters of H.R. 2337. That number continues to grow really week by week. We're adding new congressmen to the supporter list. At the same time, we have been working with groups around the country to grow a very broad coalition of public retiree unions, public retiree associations, public employee unions, and retiree organizations around the country to fight and push for and advocate for WEP reform to pass through Congress and be signed into law by President Biden during the current congressional session. The session runs for all of 2021 and all of 2022. But needless to say, the sooner we can get this done on your behalf, the better off everyone's going to be. As of today, we have more than 50 national and state organizations who have signed on to this legislation as supporting it. That list of organizations continues to grow. And in fact, here in Massachusetts, a growing number, the majority of public employee unions here in Massachusetts have joined with us in this fight. They have come to the realization that this is not only an issue that retirees are concerned about, but it's also an issue that active public employees should be very concerned about, because virtually every single active employee working in Massachusetts right now, if we don't change this law, will be harmed by the WEP when they eventually retire. And in Massachusetts, we are talking about hundreds of thousands of active public employees. Nationally, we have 2 million current public retirees impacted by WEP and several million active public employees, current public employees, who will be impacted by WEP. So we collectively are talking about millions and millions of individuals who will be harmed by the windfall elimination provision. And as word of this has grown, we have more and more people working with us, and this list grows. And that's what makes all the difference in the world. So in addition to growing the support, We have now, as of today, we're kicking off the next phase of our national campaign. And we're unveiling or rolling out a petition drive, a national petition drive. And we're asking those of you who care about the WEP or are impacted by the WEP or agree with us that Congress should take action now with no further delays and pass WEP reform this session. We're asking that you join with us, sign this petition, put your name behind it, and we're going to show this massive national support out there that we can go to Congress and say that we have hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of retirees and active employees who have signed this petition and are demanding action take place now. And in the coming weeks, we will be following up with you with further steps that we hope that you will work with us and take on behalf of this bigger effort to contact your local member of Congress, contact your U.S. senators wherever you happen to live, and work with us to get this done. As we have been saying, we can't change this by ourselves. Here in Massachusetts, we can only do so much, and we've been fighting this fight for a long time. By growing this national coalition, I feel very optimistic and very confident that we can finally gain some real traction here and bring relief to all of you. And that's what we've been fighting for so long. So just to recap, the relief that we're looking for under H.R. 2337 is simply this. It would restore up to $150 a month for those of you who have had your Social Security benefit reduced because of the windfall elimination provision. It also fixes the WEP for future generations of public retirees and ensures that Social Security benefits for future retirees will be accurately calculated based on the amount of time someone has worked under Social Security versus having worked under a public pension plan. And those are the two things that H.R. 2337 is seeking to address. So again, please join with us, sign the petition. We are doing all we can to continue to move this forward. I can't thank you enough for all you have already done, for the support that you have given us, the words of encouragement. It means a lot. We're going to keep trudging forward, and we're finally going to win this battle on behalf of our members and all of the retirees across the country who have been harmed by this. Again, thank you. Tune in again next Friday for a new update, and we'll have breaking news next week as the Senate budget unfolds and make sure that our members are kept abreast of any amendments that you might be concerned with. Thanks again.